Hello and welcome to the Living by Numbers podcast. My name is Kirsten Foss, and I'm really glad that you're here. This podcast is all about how to use numerology to guide you in your personal life and in your career, whether you have a job or whether you're an entrepreneur. I believe that numerology is a way for us to blend heaven and earth in a really practical way, and help and use it to help us bring some reflection to our lives, some insight to our lives, and to the what's happening around us, and to create action that is aligned with our energetic code. So every month, I like to bring you a numerology forecast about the energy of the month. And this month, we're in July 2025, and it's a seven energy month. Now, before we get into what the seven energy means, particularly in 2025, because not only is it a seven energy month, now the seven energy is all about fierce faith, but we are also pairing it with the energies of the year. And what I'm talking about is the universal energies that we're all feeling, all experiencing. And so the universal energy of the year is a nine. And that is the theme of the nine is about completion and wisdom, wrapping up cycles, endings. And so sometimes when we work with the nine, it can feel really, really intense. And that's why it's really important to always pair up what is happening energetically for the year with the month because it gives us a slightly different story, which gives us slightly different ways to react to things, to how we want to show up, and also how to manifest in these kinds of energies. So before we dive into the seven and what that's all about and what's that's going to bring us, I want to do a little debrief on the sixth energy of June. Now, I'm bringing you this podcast on the 7th of July, and this is actually a start of a little power portal, actually a very intense power portal. It's the seventh day of the seventh month, so where we get that building of numbers. So anytime you have repetitions, there's an intensity to that energetic meaning to that. So today being the seventh day of the seventh month, we are entering in a seven energy power portal. And I'm going to talk about this a little later on in the podcast, but it doesn't just end today. We've got a few days of intensity, and but what we do need to talk about first is where we just came from in the sixth energy of June. And I am saying that I'm posting this today on the 7th of July because June kicked my butt. It totally kicked my butt energetically. It kicked it emotionally, mentally, spiritually. It was really, really intense for me. And it doesn't always, we don't always have to experience the most intense parts of these energetic themes every month. But I want to share with you what mine look like so that you can understand and glean how some of my intensities might have showed up in your life, not quite as intense, but still giving you and showing you information about what's going on in your life and where you need to put your focus. Okay, so the sixth energy for June was about love and responsibility, boundaries. It was huge, huge, huge on boundaries. The sixth energy, it's a massive theme because the sixth energy is so much about love and responsibility and emotional truth. Sometimes we can get tripped up on that when it comes to our own emotional and energetic boundaries. The sixth energy is like, it's like the mama energy of just like, wanting to like bring all the kids around and I want to feed you and nourish you. And the sixth energy is also my mentor also calls like a warm cup of cocoa and a warm blankie. It's just that, feeling of being nurtured. And so the big struggle with sixth energy is going past your boundaries. Now, with my personal experience, my father had been really, really sick for a couple of months. My siblings and I have been pretty much full-time caregiving for my dad and his wife. She's not well either, and so it was. it was the six energy is about supporting families. So I could see where how the energetics of the year and the month were really teaching me in a really big way for June. So I was very deep into supporting family, definitely past my own comfortable boundaries. I was traveling. I had to travel 4 hours to get to my parents. I was doing that sometimes multiple times a week. A couple of times I had to stay for, a week or longer. And so, and because there was so much going on with my dad, it was just feeling so stretched, but yet it was such deep connection. And I am so, so grateful for as intense as the past couple of months have been for me and my siblings, my family, and all the supports, our support systems. I'm so deeply grateful that I have that time to spend with my dad and his wife, because my dad passed away at the end of June after a really, really, a big physical struggle. So we were all really grateful that he is no longer suffering, but, there was an immense amount of grief too. And so that was the other part of the six is holding these two really big opposite things and allowing them to be fully completely opposite. And so the sixth energy about balance, harmony, and karmic adjustments, when we're in deep six learning, it will feel disharmonious as well as feeling harmonious. It will feel disconnected as well as feeling connected. It will feel like, so much deep grief, but so, so much gratitude. And so when we're in the six energy and learning that, it can feel like a complete imbalance, complete chaos, but it's not. It's really just teaching us how to manage in those situations and how to get better at knowing where our boundaries are and not waiting for them to be completely blown through before we take action on it. Now, for me, I knew my energetic boundaries and my emotional boundaries and the physical boundaries were all being pushed way, way, way too far. I am definitely in burnout, but it was a very conscious thing to do, and I used other supports in my life to shore up me so that now I have a little bit of time to pause. And that's a little bit about the seven energy that we're moving into. That six energy and the intensity really just kind of set up so that I can shift into the seven energy of fierce faith a little more smoothly. So the six energy of June, it was really asking us about are we able to create harmony without self-abandonment? That is the real distilled question. So how did June go for you? I heard from a couple of people that June was intense for them too. Somebody I know has a little wee one, and they were going in back. They were having to go into daycare. Mom and dad are feeling all the feels. The little one's not loving it. That was just another example of that six energy of nurturing and love and boundaries and grief and caregiving and independence and all that kind of stuff trying to work itself out in our lives. So how did June go for you? It was asking us to have soft love, to have fierce love, and also have very boundaried love. All right. Now we've rolled into the seven energy of July, and for me, it feels a bit like, the cards just went, somebody just let loose all the cards. They're all in the air. And with that six energy, it likely felt like there wasn't a lot of solutions, clear solutions. And so that's where that the boundaries, you sometimes may have felt like you went too far in your boundaries. You're literally trying to find solutions that there may not have actually been any visible to you. Now we are moving into the seven energy, and it's saying like this whole cards in the air feeling, it's telling us that anything is possible. Anything is possible. It's not random chaos, it's sacred reshuffling. And it is sometimes hard to see it as that, which is why I like to bring these forecasts to you for you to see a slightly different perspective that this chaos isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. It's happening for me too. Um, so this month of July, it's going to ask us to pair our intuition with our intellect. We are going to be asked to have faith and trust. We are going to be asked for stillness and action. We will need to use motion this month. You may also, on the topic of motion, you may feel like running away. I feel like running away. Like at the end of June, I just felt this urge to like run. All I could see was the words run. I was talking to my sister and a couple other friends, and it's literally like it's like we just want to run away and change our names because it just that responsibility of June just felt so big and so heavy, and again, without necessarily seeing clear solutions. So the seven energy of July, if you feel that urge to just freaking run, change your name, start over because that seems like it might be easier, you're not alone. It's part of the seven energy, which needs motion. It needs to keep moving and not just spinning in circles. It needs to move ahead. So this month, I want you to remember that emotions, motion, they're meant to move, emotions in motion. Your emotions are meant to move, not get stuck, spin around in your head, get stuck in your body. That's how we get sick. So, as much as you may feel like a little, may feel like chaos, remember it is just, it's a like a cosmic reshuffling, and it is begging you to have fierce faith. And that fierce faith means going inwards into our own inner world, our own inner beliefs, and our belief systems. And the other thing that this month is going to be asking us to is to let go of control, staying present and intentional, even if you cannot see the answer. So I'm a ruling number 10. I got lots of one energy in my code. I love to get started. I'm an ideas person. I love running with ideas. I love brainstorming. I love strategizing. And so for me, this energy of not necessarily knowing, having my own answers makes me crazy. It makes me feel absolutely crazy, which adds to that feeling of wanting to run. And so when I understand that about my own code, I've got a lot of one, I like moving forward. So when I get stuck, it feels like torture. I'm able to use the energy of like what the energies mean for the month and the year to help me manage how I'm looking at at the situation and how I approach it in terms of like what's next and coming up strategy. Now, this is all for your personal life. This is for your career, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're employed. It doesn't matter. You can use the energies of the month and the energy of the year to guide you through what's going on for you. So let me help you identify the energies of the seven a little bit more clearly, just so that you can identify and pick out really quickly when you're in a high vibration or when you're in a low vibration, or for that matter, when somebody else is in their low or high vibration. I love to make sure I also know the codes of the people around me. So definitely you want to figure out the ruling number of your partner, of your children. If you don't know much about numerology, it's all based, a lot of what we base our information, we start with your ruling number. And that is your life path number. And you simply add up your birth date. It's all about how you were energetically coded on the day that you were born. Now, all the little babies that are born on the same day, it doesn't mean that you guys are all exactly the same. You each have different parents and different environments, and you have different life, how you want to express these energies. And you all have different kind of slightly lessons of how you're going to be learning them. So add up the digits of your birthday all singularly. You'll get to a double digit, reduce that, and it's going to be from numbers 2 to 11. So if you have somebody in your life who is a ruling number seven, this month will be a little extra for them. They're going to feel it a little extra. And so the high vibration of the seven, let's talk about it. Um, Fierce faith, deep, deep trust in your inner guidance. The seven energy is arguably is often called the most spiritual number in numerology, and I practice Pythagorean numerology. There's other methods. This Pythagorean is actually really good for like strategic. It's very practical, and some of the other ones are a little bit more mystical. And I find the Pythagorean methodology just easier to layer over like the practicalities of life. Anyways, I digress. So the seven energy being like the most spiritual number, people who have a life path seven may not even see themselves as spiritual people. But they are. They're very intuitive, but they're meant to pair their intuition with their intellect. That is the key with the seven. It's not just leaning on intuition and spirit. It is pairing it with your intellect. It's pairing it with data. It's pairing it with research, things that you know. That's how it goes together. The seven is literally pairing the outer world and the inner world together. It's intellectual and spiritual integration. It's stillness that reveals truth. Think about clarity from solitude. Now, the seven energy sometimes in the low vibration tends to want to isolate, but in the high vibration, it's about creating clarity from that solitude. So I had an idea the other day of like in trying to soothe this feeling of wanting to run, just feeling like I've got so much pressure in my personal life. And I thought, well, like I don't want to run and change my name. What can I do that still feels like I am honoring that need for isolation and also the need for movement and the need for inner work? How can I do that and not like, you know, find a cabin in the woods and stay there for 4 months? And so I thought, we often go to the west coast of Vancouver Island, which we live in, and I thought, why don't I just take the day and I'm just going to drive out there. It's a couple hours, and I'm going to pack a lunch, and I'm going to pack stuff to do. I'll pack my cards. I'm going to pack a journal. I'm going to pack my headphones so I can do some meditation, and make a sacred day for myself. And so I'm going to do that because it just keeps calling me. And now I'm just finding a spot where I can plug that in this week because my soul is calling for these things. And if I listen, don't keep pushing them away, and keep thinking, no, no, I can handle this. I'm fine. Just, grind it out, just get through it. Instead, if I honor that need to have some sacred space, then I'm less likely to run into the low vibration of the seven, right? So this is how that works. So the low vibration of the seven, obsessive thinking, isolation for avoidance, spiritual bypassing is another low vibration of the seven. Knowing all the things and just kind of, you know, I call it logicking myself, but doing it in a spiritual way. Distrusting what can't be seen. That's a low vibration of the seven. So, one of the things I like to remember about the seven is that if what I'm seeing in front of me isn't making sense, um, that is when I know I have to do two things. I need more data, I just need more information. And I also need to turn inwards because with the seven energy, it's able to actually see the truth. Even when the outside looks like it's truth, but there's something inside you going, nah, that's not quite right. I don't think that's right. I don't know what it is. That's the seven saying, go inwards. It will tell you what is true and right for you. It doesn't matter what everybody's saying, doesn't matter what everybody's doing. You will be able to tap in and know what's right for you. So that's super important with the seven energy, especially when it's feeling chaotic. Um, Another piece of this low vibration of the seven is trying to force answers too soon. For my 10 energy, I don't like that. I like answers fast. I normally can come up with answers fast. So this really challenges me to have to sit in the shit for a little while and not necessarily have any answers to figure it out and fix it. I had a friend, we have had a friend breakup about 4 years ago. And it was when I was going through more stuff in my life. If you were around for that era, you know what it was about. My son had been in a near fatal accident. My husband had had a heart attack. I had multiple family members pass away. Like I was in rough shape. And she really couldn't hold space for me and my grief. And she was struggling with it. And so her behavior showed that. And myself, with my boundaries, I was like, I can't do this. Like, to me, this isn't how friendship works. And I don't feel supported at all. In fact, I feel actively unsupported. And that does not make any sense for me in terms of my deep friendships. And so the kind of the clincher was when I was sharing that, I'm still feeling a lot of grief and I can't shift out of it and I don't know how and I'm doing all the things that I know how and I've had all the counseling and it's just going to take time. And she said to me, she said, "Well, I don't really like to sit at the shores of grief for too long." And that's when I knew that this friendship was not going to work at all because I needed this time and space to work through my grief and not try to force those answers too quickly because they just come when they come. That healing comes when it comes. And so I chose that as a boundary and what was true for me and said goodbye to that relationship. But that was a really interesting moment for me to see that piece of grief, to see that piece of time when you are feeling overwhelmed with life and you just need time to figure it out. And you're not super happy. So it's hard to mask. It's hard to put on that happy mask. I've grown up in my whole career as a service provider, and we mask all the time for our clients. And so I gotten really good at masking emotions, and I've had to work really hard over the past 5 years to be okay with that vulnerability and to allow myself to unmask and be open with people in where I'm at with my emotions and kind of in my life. So that little kind of little side quest story here was all about don't try to force the healing, don't try to force the answers. They will come. And this month is teaching that up to us in a really big way. So if you're starting to feel like, I want these answers quicker, remember I'm in the seven energy. This is about, connecting with my inner world, doing the spiritual work, not just talking about it. It's walking your walk, walking your talk. And the last little note I have about the low vibration of seven is emotional paralysis instead of movement. And I think we've all been there when we feel emotionally stuck. It sucks. Now, we've also got this supporting layer of the nine energy year. And when we're looking at nine energy, that's like graduation energy. So when we pair it up with the seven about deep faith and trust, inner knowing, spirituality, the nine energy is asking us with the seven to take a look at your triggers around trust. Are you feeling caged or overwhelmed? And do you have the desire to isolate or just run away? That's the nine energy really poking at you and activating you to make sure that you are resolving these seven energy vibes, low vibes, so that next year, when we move into this one energy vibration for the whole planet, this like fresh starts and new beginnings, it should feel a lot lighter in a lot of ways. But I want to remind you that every month this year, that nine energy is going to be an influence for you. And there, it makes it feel more intense, but nothing is failure. If you feel like you're a failure at any time this year, the nine energy kind of kind of pokes at us that way, but it's not about failure. It's really just an invitation to go deeper on all of it. So, yeah, that's why this year might be feeling a little extra. Okay, can we talk about some practical integrations? Now that we've talked about what the seven is going to be feeling like, you've probably already started feeling the seven energy. Um, let's talk about it in terms of life. I want to split it up, kind of what you can do for life, what you can do for your career in terms of entrepreneurship, as well as if you have a job. So, in terms of life, and we're talking about emotions, personal growth, relationships. So, I would recommend that you be intentional about creating stillness. True answers will come from stillness. It will not come from making yourself busy. I guarantee it. So just cut yourself a break, cut yourself some slack in terms of being productive. I mean, especially as, if you are a Gen Xer or a millennial, we have been drilled into our whole psyche to be productive, especially as women. It's been drilled in we're not valuable unless we're doing something. So this might be a little challenging to create the stillness. And so might need to make it more intentional because our baseline is just to keep doing, keep moving, keep doing, keep moving. So try to carve out some time to unplug, and reconnect with yourself. If you can't take a whole day, then take a couple hours and block it off. And if you've got kids, ask them to take care of them for you for a couple hours. The second piece here is move your emotions through your body. Now, if you are into tarot, you'll notice that the card of seven in the major arcana is the chariot. It's moving. Like if you look at it, it's on its wheels. There's horses. It's an action card. And that's why can sometimes feel a little chaotic because it's literally like barreling in with the horses and the carriage. And so it's a reminder for us to move our bodies. And I know that through all my trauma informed training and my own support with trauma therapy, movement is so critical. So if I'm feeling anxious or I'm just feeling like emotions are stuck in my body, that's usually when I'm feeling anxious. I will literally shake my body out. I will literally hop up and down. I will, stretch my arms. I will go for a walk. I will um, what else have I do? Oh, I like sometimes like I tap my chest if I'm having I'm feeling super activated. I'll tap my chest. I'll thump on my legs to kind of get me back into my body. That's another way to do that if you can't kind of move your body from the spot that you're in and you're feeling a lot of emotions. So, oh, dancing is another one. I've never been one to really like turn on the tunes and really dance, if I'm making dinner, but I've started doing that this year and I really like it. And it's helped me loosen up because I can sometimes be very rigid. Clean out your spaces. This is a great month to declutter. Um, you can declutter physically in your closets, declutter your email, declutter your all the files in your computer, declutter your house. I started decluttering my office because it was just a gong show. I've hardly been home for like 2.5 months. Just keep chucking things into my office. So having cleaning up space will feel really good for you. Journaling will be a really positive action to do this month. And one of the reasons why journaling is helpful is because it activates, like, you're able to connect with your intuition. And so, there's things like automatic writing you can learn how to do. But if you just want to just start journaling, that's a great way for your intuitive process and your higher self to be communicating with you. So make space to listen. Take a journal down to a park. Um, get off your phone. I'm bad for this too, especially the past couple months. I've been so stressed out that literally the amount of bandwidth I have is a 90-second reel or TikTok and then next. So, but I do feel like now that, my dad has passed and one half of the situation is kind of calming down a little bit, there's still a lot to do. And so I feel like, okay, July can be a month where I can take a little bit more space for myself and journal, meditate, that kind of thing. And then the last thing I want to say as far as personal aspects of the seven, and this will be a challenge, but that's the point, is say the hard truths. They're hard to say, but when we are able to say the hard truths, that is really when we feel our freedom. It's true, right? So if you have a hard time speaking your truth, um, start with the small stuff. Start with the small stuff that you could let go, but no, I'm just going to start with that one. If you need like a support in terms of like, what do I say? In terms of like, how do I say my truth? Last month, I recommended the book, The Power of a Positive No by William Ury. I'm going to recommend that book again when it comes to speaking your truth because it allows you to start practicing on the small things so that when it gets to the big things, you've already had practice talking about the awkward stuff. So when you have a hard conversation to talk about, you've had some practice. And hard conversations are still hard. I still get stressed out. My heart goes beating. My hands start shaking. My voice feels a little shaky. I want to cry. I feel like I want to cry, but I'm speaking them. I'm still doing it. But it started off with practicing with the smaller stuff. All right, let's talk about your career for job seekers or if you're an employee. How can you use the seven energy? How might it show up for you this month? So, this is a pause before pushing. So, clarify the energy you are feeling before you push forward. So, are you moving forward from fear, or are you moving forward with alignment? Very, very different. Do an audit of your current role. What part of your job is not a match anymore? As far as your truth. Update materials quietly. So, update your resume, your portfolio, your LinkedIn. This is your quiet prep. This is, that turning inwards, finding that alignment, and then matching it with the intellectual part, like the practical part, the resume, doing the things you need to do to put the things together so that, maybe if you're looking for new work, you're not finding it this month, but you're putting down like stepping stones that will get you there. Follow your nudges. The seven energy is that spiritual energy. Will be tapped into your intuition more this month if you allow it. And if you allow it, what that means is if you listen, I know you have those little nudges where something was kind of like tickling your brain at the back, going, hey, what about this? Or hey, I have an idea. And sometimes they're really quiet, they're just little whispers. And if you're really busy, got a lot going on, it's very difficult to hear it. So don't brush off those little nudges. Those are real and they're trying to tell you something. And the more that you listen to those and follow them, it's kind of like practicing hard truths. The easier it gets to listen to your intuition and follow them. So the finally here for those of you that are job seekers or you're in an employment role, look for the alignment, not necessarily the advancement. Okay. So yeah, promotions are great, but are they aligned with you? Sometimes people get themselves into golden handcuffs. Not sometimes, that happens a lot. Right? And the golden handcuffs they dangle more money, more prestige, and yet there's likely a lot more of what you don't want if that's not an aligned position. Okay, let's talk about entrepreneurs because that's where my heart is. I've been an entrepreneur my whole adult career almost, minus a few jobs. Um, so for you, dear entrepreneurs, using the numerology this month is for you too. So this is a month to revisit your vision. So a lot of times at the beginning of the year, entrepreneurs are making their big 1 year plan. Well, go back to your notes. What was your 1 year plan? What was that vision for this year? Compare it to your big picture vision. Okay, we're past the halfway mark now in the year. What does it look like? Is your business and the offers that you are putting out there, are they still aligned with you, your truth, and how you're doing things? Pause and realign your offers. So we don't necessarily need to throw the baby out with the bathwater with this, but you may realize that some of your services are just not aligned with you anymore. It could be just as easier as like, I don't like doing them. So I was in the beauty industry for decades, and one of the first things that a lot of estheticians got rid of when they were their own solo practitioners was manicures because they didn't love doing them and they take a lot of time and they actually, quite frankly, don't generate a lot of revenues. And so that is one of those places in terms of entrepreneurship, like you can look at as like, I don't love it anymore. And you can say goodbye to those services that you don't like. Totally valid, even if you have a ton of clients that love them and would be devastated if you didn't do them. There are strategies to shift your niche or shift into a niche, and I can totally help you with that so that you aren't, you're not going to be losing revenue, but you'll be slowly letting go of the clients that you don't want, letting go of the services you don't want, and filling your books with the services that you do want. Um, let these insights land for you. So you might have some really great ideas. Again, create that stillness. And it sounds funny in a way that this month is also about movement, but this is the two sides of the seven, stillness and movement. This is where we can hold two different things at the same time. And the more we master that in our lives, holding two opposite things at the same time, we don't necessarily have to like the opposite thing of the good thing, but when we're able to hold it, manage it, deal with it, that is personal mastery. That's personal mastery. That is what this life is all about. It's about learning both sides of the coin, not just learning the good side. This is a lifetime of duality on this planet. It's all about the good, the bad, the black, the white, the high, the low. It is because we get to choose. It's because we get to choose. And that may be really annoying for this Earth school, for those of us that have figured out what's going on. There's been definitely times where I'm like, get me off this planet. I'm done. Because the duality can be very extreme and can be very intense. But we get to choose. So let these insights that come in land and spend some time thinking about what you want to do with it and how it feels. For entrepreneurs, create systems that support your energy. So, especially if you are a solopreneur or a small business owner and don't have a big team, you are the queen bee. You need to protect your role and protect your energy. And so, the only way to do that in entrepreneurship is with systems. So, if you don't know what systems you need, definitely reach out and contact me because I will help you prioritize which ones you need first. So we're talking about, when I talk about systems, I'm talking about boundaries. Yes, that's a system. You can use that power of a positive no. That's a system. That's how to create boundaries. Um, I'm talking about automations, and this is about slow growth over fast burnout. I've burnt out a couple of times in my career, and I know how to come back, but it takes a lot to come back from burnout. So if you are in burnout, my friend, I feel you. I'm with you. I'm in it myself right now again with a family stuff, and I know what to do and how to get out of it. And that part of that is systems for yourself, your own self-care as well. And as well, my dear entrepreneurs, is practicing spiritual stewardship. So treat your business as a soul partnership because it is. It's just an expression of your soul's calling. And so treat it as your soul business partner rather than your hustle machine. So even just looking at it that way might give you a little bit more relief. All right, now I had mentioned earlier that today is July 7th, and normally my forecasts are out on the first, but like I mentioned, June was just too much for me. It was a boundary I decided to push past or go over, not look at. And because I knew I was just emotionally exhausted and my father had just passed and I just didn't have it in me, I did not care. And I knew that my listeners would understand that and honor it. And so I gave myself that space to do it. And today felt like the right day to record. I had made up my notes prior to today, but it felt like today was a great day to do that. It felt energetically okay with me. I had the energy to get ready for this. I had the energy to want to speak my truth about this. And so it is also the beginning of a power portal. So it starts today, July 7th. So it's the seventh day of the seventh month. And this is a mirror moment. Because what's also interesting is that in astrology, Uranus, which is the planet of surprises, it can be a little, it can shake stuff up. It enters Gemini. And so on this 7/7 day, we can expect sudden insights. We can expect kind of intellectual breakthroughs. So it's pairing it with that energy of letting go, the nine energy of letting go, and creating from freedom rather than old patterns. Now, the other interesting piece is we're actually in a little power portal a couple of days. So it starts July 6th, or today, July 7th, and it actually ends on the full moon on the 10th, July 10th. So, what I want you to pay attention to over the next few days, if you're listening to this in time, is that this is about building a life that reflects your values and what matters most to you, right? So, what I want you to ask yourself, and you can journal this right now, am I living my worth? Now, this might be difficult to kind of figure out what's my worth. Am I building a life that reflects what matters most to me? When I'm asking, am I living my worth? That's really what I'm asking. Am I building a life that reflects what matters most to me? I also want you to take time on Wednesday to unplug and tune in because it's a seven energy day and a seven energy month. We got lots of sevens going over this next 4 days. And then on Thursday, which is the full moon, it's full moon in Capricorn, Earth meets Spirit. This culmination energy, and this is about what am I ready to complete so that my next evolution can evolve and has room to land. Remember, we're in a nine energy year. Next, in January, we move into a one energy. So this year is all about cleaning up all the stuff we've been putting off, not dealing with. And with the seven energy, it's about dealing with your own personal truth. And if you've been putting that off, it will be in your face this month for sure. Now, I want to remind you that this is not chaos, it's clarity in motion. It just can sometimes feel like chaos. And your only job this month is to stay rooted in your truth. It's because the next chapter is rearranging itself, right? Okay, if you have not had a numerology blueprint before and you are not familiar with all the details of your code, I'm not just talking about knowing your ruling number, but there is a lot of layers to your energetic code. And if you haven't had a blueprint before to understand all those layers, to really understand your highest vibration, your low vibration, to have clear action steps in terms of like how do you act on your highest vibration for your life path, then you want to book a blueprint. That will set you up for understanding how to use numerology in your life and your work and your career. Now, if you've already had a numerology blueprint reading and you know your ruling number and all those, all the good stuff about your energetic code, and you've got something going on in your life that you're like, I need perspective, then you can book one of the either life or career strategy calls because what it will do is we'll take into consideration your energetic code as well as what's happening for you in your personal life or your career. And we will be able to give you some very clear insights in terms of what's happening for you right now. And what life is asking of you to move into. And so I'll make sure that you've got some really simple, practical steps, action steps to move forward on, and you will have way more clarity about what's going on in your life. I gotta tell you, as insane as my personal life has been in the past 3 months, I can't even imagine not doing this without numerology because it's given me so much perspective, so much guidance, so much perspective and understanding my dad and his wife, and understanding where they are in their own energetic codes, understanding where I am and how this is all coming together, and also looking at my forecast about like what's coming in the next few months. Because in numerology, you're at your birthday starts your new year. And so I just had my birthday in June. And so I've just started a new kind of a fresh energetic code, fresh themes for the year. And so I've been pouring over those and with some colleagues of mine to help, because sometimes it's hard to see your own stuff, to really support myself on my best right action to move me through it. And I'm just so grateful that I have numerology and tarot and my spiritual practices. I meditate almost every night. Um, it's become so easy for me to shift into the quantum field now that I've been practicing it for so long. I can probably just sit here and do it myself if I had a few minutes, without having to do a full-on meditation. So, as much as it's been stressful, that numerology has helped guide me and actually build my spiritual gifts because they've been getting stronger. I've been having some incredible spiritual experiences in amongst all of this sadness and what feels like chaos. But, really, it's just the cards are up in the air. Anything is possible. And maybe go back and take a listen to my January 2025 forecast, because I called this year the year of full frequency. And every time I think back to it, I think about, am I in my fullest frequency? What can I do to be more in my full frequency? It's just such a useful tool. So if you wanted support with any of that for numerology with your life and your career, let me know. I am here for you and I will send you some booking links. All right, take good care. Let me know how your July is going so far. If you want to share your June debrief, I'm also always very curious about how everybody's six energy showed up for them as well. So you can send me an email at kirsten@kirstenfoss.com, or you can DM me on any of my social platforms. All right, we'll see you at August's forecast for August 2025. We'll see you then.